Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming show on the internet brave enough to complain about PlayStation 5 games.
We can only be so brave. There aren't really that many games to complain about right now, right?
Boom! You got them. So yeah, after you bugged all the snackses and demons all the souls, what is there left to do with this thing?
Oh, well, I mean, it's a work of art, right? Just haul it up on the roof and set it up as an art installation. The only one visible from space.
I mean, the PS5 is big. We all know that.
It's so big. Hey, you know what else is big?
What?
Yes, Bruce.
Your penis.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, yeah. No, the other thing that's big is the amount of time we have to wait to get more exclusive games on the PS5.
Sony broke the bad news early this week when God of War developer Sony Santa Monica Studio announced via Twitter that the highly anticipated action-adventure sequel will be pushed back from its original 2021 release window.
The reasons make a lot of sense. They explain that COVID-19 and crunch concerns contributed to that decision, saying, quote, "We remain focused on delivering a top-quality game while maintaining the safety and well-being of our team, creative partners, and families. With this in mind, we made the decision to shift our release window to 2022.
Sony originally announced the God of War sequel, or what many are calling God of War Ragnarok, back in September of last year during Sony's PlayStation 5 event with a 2021 release.
Yeah, I had to look this one up. This was some weird Nelson Mandela effect. They never actually called it God of War Ragnarok. The teaser just says Ragnarok is coming. You gotta call it something, and Ragnarok seems like a cool title, so I thought that it actually called it that straight from the get-go, so that's just a little fun fact for you guys.
Even though we have yet to know the game's actual title, we got another surprise about the game this week.
Yeah, and a lengthy and frankly really good Q&A on the PlayStation blog, head of PlayStation Worldwide Studios Herman Hulst discussed a variety of topics about the company's current and future output.
Yeah, so when asked about the ongoing PlayStation 4 support, Hulst confirmed that the God of War sequel would appear on last gen as well, saying, quote, "Where it makes sense to develop a title for both PS4 and PS5 for Horizon Forbidden West, the next God of War, Gran Turismo 7, we'll continue looking at that, and if PS4 owners want to play that game, then they can. If they want to go on and play the PS5 version, that game will be there for them."
Holst then acknowledged the importance of platform exclusives, dropping both Returnal and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart as the really only titles that are PS5 exclusive right now.
It's the first time that the God of War sequel is referenced as a PlayStation 4 game, so this is obviously kind of surprising for people hoping the game would harness new-gen power in a more fundamental way than running at a higher resolution or adding on the lighting effects.
Yeah, now, to be fair, we don't know anything about the game, so we're assuming a lot by saying that. It's too early, I think, to start speculating about the difference between the PS4 and PS5 versions.
If you're comparing the two versions of the Miles Morales Spider-Man, though, that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, Miles Morales runs at a locked 30 FPS on PS4, has longer load times, reduced draw distance, fewer lighting effects, and less detailed textures than it does on PS5.
But still, it's not like the game is a radically different experience, or that Miles Morales as a game does anything that just wouldn't be possible on a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, so it's likely there'll just be a similar trade-off with God of War sequel. Maybe we won't be able to see Kratos' little areola bumps on PS4. That 4K detail just gets lost in there.
You know, I actually just learned that stuff's called areola granola. Did you know that?
I didn't. Oh, actually, so here's another thing. So I wrote about areola granola before I actually bothered to Google image search it, and it turns out you can already see Kratos' areola bumps in 2018's God of War, so they already did it.
Really are no more mountains left to climb, right?
Well, I mean, regardless of all that aerial stuff, there's another game you can scratch out the PS5 exclusive list, which that's either a good thing if you can't buy the damn thing, or maybe a bad thing if you did buy one and you want to feel really cool about all the games you get to play and no one else does.
God of War wasn't the only cross-gen game bouncing around the internet this week, as we've officially seen Horizon Forbidden West in action, and whew, it looks pretty. We all knew it would. The most recent State of Play, which aired last week, showcased around 14 minutes of in-engine gameplay.
In it, we get to see the main protagonist, Aloy, in a tropical beachfront setting, fighting a few enemies like a velociraptor and a giant mammoth, which is an interesting phrase considering I don't know how big mammoth actually are, but it seems big. Big boy, big woolly boy, you gotta hit him now.
Aloy now has new gadgets and gizmos like a smoke bomb to escape combat, a hook shot to move quickly and latch onto structures, as well as, of course, a glider. Thank you very much, Breath of the Wild.
Fans of the series were generally positive regarding the gameplay showcase. There was one notable absence, a date of any kind.
Sony announced Horizon Forbidden West during Sony's first PlayStation 5 event last June.
I guess in the last couple of weeks we have one game that's delayed and another game that has no date at all, which seems Is that scary? That seems weird at this point.
That's very, very scary. Herman Holst, in the same interview we referenced earlier, offered reassurances that Horizon Forbidden West is targeting a holiday 2021 this year release, but admitted, quote, "That isn't quite certain yet, and we're working as hard as we can to confirm that to you as soon as we can."
You gotta appreciate the honesty there, right? At least saying as much as they know, but admitting that may not be it. So, also in the context of that question, Holt submitted that the fuzzy release windows are, quote, affected by access to performance capture and talent, which kind of makes a lot of sense given how hard it is to travel around and work in enclosed sets and enclosed spaces right now.
Horizon Forbidden West is not PlayStation 5 exclusive, which really just makes you wonder how awesome it could look if it were.
Yeah, it's doubly strange because comments from Sony Interactive President and CEO Jim Ryan to GamesIndustry.biz about a year ago would sure make you think Sony's gonna go in real hard on making PS5 exclusives.
Yeah, he said, quote, "We have always said that we believe in generations. We believe that when you go to all the trouble of creating a next-gen console, that it should include features and benefits that the previous generation does not include. And that, in our view, people should make games that can make the most of those features."
It's a cool thing to say, and if you were to interpret that statement to its extreme, you might think that every Sony game published after the PS5 is out would be PS5 exclusive. I mean, obviously that was later proven untrue when Sony published Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure on the PS4.
Yeah, that being said, there seems to be a pretty simple explanation for this, according to Horizon Forbidden West game director Matisse de Jong.
Nice job. I had no idea how that was.
I may have messed his name up. I hope it's Matisse de Jong.
Speaking to Game Informer, de Jong said, quote, "A lot of the development has taken place on the PlayStation 4, and a lot of the playtesting has been done on PlayStation 4. So we're ensuring that owners of that console have a great experience and the game will look fantastic on that console."
Again, it's likely that we can expect the PlayStation 5 version to run at a higher resolution and or higher frame rate.
At least one of those options is kind of soft, hard, like kind of par-bake confirmed, as Twitter user Nibel pointed out that in an interview with French YouTuber Julien Chies, who confirmed that the PS5 version will in fact offer a 60 FPS performance mode. I'm sorry, the entire nation of France.
The timing of these news bits are interesting as E3 is looming just on the horizon.
Yeah, it's important to note that Sony doesn't go to E3 anymore. I mean, I was kind of reading these stories and being like, that's okay, Sony's probably saving their big announcements for E3, and then it kind of hit me like a truck. Wait a minute, that's not happening. So yeah, we just have to wait for more states of play, and they just kind of announce those whenever they do, before we can get more info about any of these games.
So is Sony in trouble now? I mean, more specifically, what reason does anyone actually have to buy a PlayStation 5? You can't even get one.
Yeah, that's the reason it's a silly question to ask. They're sold out everywhere, just because the brand and because people have such good associations, and backwards compatibility, that's a factor too. But just for the sake of the next minute or two of talking, let's assume that there's piles of PS5s around, and maybe you're wondering if there's actually enough exclusive experiences to justify the price.
Yeah, as far as what's announced, they've got Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which comes out in a week. Horizon Forbidden West, which releases maybe holiday 2021. It doesn't. And then the God of War sequel and Gran Turismo 7 in 2022. That's it.
So yeah, 2 games this year, maybe. Well, definitely one. One's coming out in a week. That you can bank on that one. 2 games in 2022. So 4 games total. Only one of which is an actual, real platform exclusive. That doesn't seem super great.
Yeah, which kind of has us wondering: is the PS5 really a wasteland for games?
Yeah, so now we're getting deep into our thoughts here. Starting to get that old clown math feeling again. We got to justify a headline somehow. So just for fun, let's throw some numbers around. Let's look at the actual objective information.
Okay, yeah, so the PlayStation 5 launched on November 12th of 2020, which we're going to round off and say that was 7 months ago.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia and a hand count that, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really double check. There are currently 130 games available on PS5 in the US territory, 10 of which were published by Sony.
And that's 7 months since the release of the PlayStation 5. So if we compare that to the first 7 months of the PlayStation 4, that platform offered 68 games, 9 of which were published by Sony.
And 7 months into the PlayStation 3, the platform carried a grand total of 41 games. And I ran out of time to count the Sony-specific ones from that group, but it's less, basically.
So by the math of it, there's more to play than ever before. And Sony themselves have been putting out more games, but fewer of those games seem to be system exclusives.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, and one that, until I kind of looked at the math, it didn't really appear to me. There are fundamentally more games to play now than ever before. But it kind of feels like getting a new console doesn't unlock this whole wonderland of new possibilities, since a majority of all of those games are cross-gen, cross-platform, or both.
There are some indications here and there lately that could lead to new custom games for the PlayStation 5. That's cool.
Yeah, this is the cool part. This is like, we're on the upswing now, PlayStation. Everything's great. So, for example, this week, the developers of Astros Playroom have officially reformed as Team Asabi and seem to be working on a new franchise.
So throwing back to that Hulse Q&A, he described Asabi as developing, quote, a franchise for all ages with global appeal.
So Minecraft, but with titties.
Sony's done it again. We knew the new studio was on the way since PlayStation stated that Japan studio, known for titles like Astrobot Rescue Mission, Astros Playroom, and the Gravity Rush series, was being scaled down and rebuilt into what we know now as Team Asabi. But the news that they're working on a new franchise is a welcome one.
So there is another new IP coming from Sony as well, this time from Days Gone developer Bend Studio.
On June 2nd, developers Twitter posted a message reading, quote, "We are beyond grateful for your support with Days Gone and are truly honored by the amount of passion our community has shared with us for our world and characters." They continue by saying, quote, "We are very excited to announce today that we are expanding the Bend Studio portfolio with a brand new IP."
So that's cool. New franchise, new IP. What's weird is this seems a little strange given that blog post from a few months ago accused Sony of only relying on blockbuster franchises and sequels. Part of that story was that Sony had actually rejected Bend Studio's pitch for a sequel to Days Gone, instead tasked them with remaking 2013's Last of Us for PS5. But apparently they also greenlit a brand new IP, not even a sequel. So that's a little odd. I mean, I guess it's both.
It sounds like they're doing both, right? That's good. That's cool.
Yeah, that seems like the best of all situations, and makes that claim seem a little out of bounds. But we're just reading blogs like everybody else. So I don't know. It's interesting though, because I remember like early days PS3, there wasn't much to play, but every game I played felt like it was only on that thing.
A next gen.
Maybe
yeah.
There was a little Stockholm syndrome along with that. It's like, I can only play Ridge Racer 7, so I'm going to enjoy the heck out of Ridge Racer 7 and associate it with this $600 monstrosity I just purchased. I don't know. What do you think? I know you, Bruce, you don't really traffic in the console generations much, do you?
I really don't. So, I mean, like I've said 1,000 times before, I didn't have a PlayStation up until PlayStation 4, and I bought that for work. So, I didn't buy the 2 or the 3 or the 1, none of it. So, I was always a Nintendo boy and an Xbox. What do you call an Xbox fanboy? An
Xbot?
An Xbot. There we go. So with the PlayStation, I didn't really keep track, and I think this is I feel like it's accepted that every new generation of console we get, the first year is dry of games. We know there's not going to be any games, and then the few we get have beautiful graphics, but then you never play them again. So, I mean, I just assumed that was the unspoken gamer contract we've got.
I think you're right. I guess it is that way again, except instead of having no games and just the few, now you have a ton of games because everything's ported to everything all the time. There's like 18 million different kinds of Fortnite, and then Grand Theft Auto 5 again. So all that's there, it all carried with you. But yeah, also I guess that makes the individual exclusives feel less important, because instead of elbowing out like Madden and that's it, now they're pushing aside every game that came out for the last 2 years that's been re-released.
I think I can also tell you why people are upset about no games. It's because the PlayStation 5 is impossible to get. So people are upset because they're like busting their asses, like, you know, they're getting beaten by basically scalpers, right? To their PlayStation 5. And before, they didn't really have to do that. The PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, they didn't have much trouble buying. So now they're having a real hard time getting the system. They buy it and there's no games.
We're not that big transformative, I'm in another gaming world.
Yeah.
A whole next-gen dimension of unlimited polygons and ray tracing. Yeah.
Lawrence, I have something that I can tell you right now that I know all the viewers are going to hate. You and I have been in the next generation for about 10 years. You know why, right?
Yeah, PC.
Boom!
Boom! My incredibly small penis, Bruce. Everyone's going to have micro dicks in the future, and I'm on the cutting edge.
I'm shaking my head. I'm shaking my head.
Everyone's going to be freaking out, and I know what to do. Remember this face and this tiny, tiny penis.